Phaser is the fastest way to ship a real game to the web. It runs in a browser. It ships with a link. And it's just JavaScript. Let's build a complete game, start to finish. Quick, honest heads up before we open the editor. If you like this, the thing you'll want next is more finished games to learn from. So I made a Phaser game dev bundle, $19, 10 complete browser games with full TypeScript source. Reskin 1, and ship it. It is completely optional, and the link is below. Now, let's build. Here is a real Phaser game, running live in the browser, right now. No plugin. No app to install. Just a web page with some TypeScript behind it. That is the whole pitch for Phaser. Your game is a website, so anyone can play it from a link. And notice what you did not need. No giant engine download. No editor to learn. No license. You open a code editor, you write TypeScript, and the browser is your game window. If you already do any web development, you are basically already set up. Now here is exactly what we are building today. A little coin collector. A player you move with the arrow keys. Coins scattered around the screen. A score that ticks up every time you grab one. An arcade physics keeping the player inside the walls. That's a complete game, a player, a goal, and a score. Phaser is a JavaScript framework, and will write it in TypeScript, so your editor catches mistakes before the game even runs. One quick note. Because Phaser is code first, I'm going to show you clean, correct TypeScript on screen, and I'll point you to the free written guide so you can copy every line. Let's start from an empty project. Every Phaser game starts with one config object. This is the control panel for the whole thing. Let's read it top to bottom. Type is phaser.auto, that tells Phaser to use fast WebGL rendering, and quietly fall back to plain canvas if it has to. Width and height set the size of your game in pixels. 800 by 600 is a comfortable start. Then physics. We pick the arcade physics engine. It is simple, fast, and perfect for a 2D game like this. Gravity is set to 0 on both axes, because this is a top-down game and nothing should fall. Later, one number turns this into a platformer. Hold that thought. Finally, scene. A scene is one screen of your game, a menu, a level, a game over screen. We hand Phaser an array with our single game scene. Then one line brings it all to life. New Phaser.game, pass the config, and the game boots. That's the entire startup. So what is a scene, really? It's a class, and it's where your whole game lives. Every Phaser scene gives you 3 methods, and they run in a fixed order. Preload runs first. It loads your images and sounds before anything appears, so nothing pops in half-ready. Create runs once, right after. This is where you place the player, the coins, and the score text. An update runs every single frame, about 60 times a second, forever. That is your game loop, input and movement live here. Look at the top of the class. In TypeScript, we declare our fields first, the player, the cursor keys, the coins, the score. The exclamation mark just tells TypeScript will set these up in create, not right away. And the constructor passes a name, game scene, so Phaser can find this scene by key. Preload is 2 lines. This.load.image, a key we choose, and the path to the file. We load a player image and a coin image. Those keys are how we'll refer to them everywhere else. Preload, create, update, learn those 3, and you know how every Phaser game is structured. Now let's put the player on screen. This all happens inside create. One line does it, this.physics.add.sprite. We pass an X and a Y for where it starts, 400, 300, dead center, and the image key, player. Notice we used physics.add, not just add. That matters. A physics sprite isn't just a picture, it has a body that can move, collide, and respect the world. A plain sprite would just sit there like a sticker. Next line, set collide world bounds, true. That draws an invisible wall around the edges of the game, so the player can never slide off screen. It's one of the nicest free things arcade physics gives you. Then we grab the keyboard. This .input.keyboard, create cursor keys. That single call wires up the 4 arrow keys and hands us back an object with up, down, left, and right, ready to read. And finally, the score text, this.add.text, at the top left corner, starting at score, 0. The player, the walls, the controls, and the score, all set up in Create. Time to actually move. This is the update method, and remember, it runs every frame. So whatever we write here happens 60 times a second. First line inside update, set velocity to 0. Every frame we stop the player first, then decide where it should go. Without that reset, the player would keep drifting after you let go of the key. Reset, then read input, that's the pattern. Now the input. If cursors.left. Is down, set velocity x to -200. That pushes the player left. Else if right is down, set velocity x to +200. Same idea top to bottom, up is a negative y, down is a positive y. In phasor, y grows downward, so up is negative. That trips up everyone once. And here's the key idea. We set velocity, not position. We tell the physics engine how fast to move, and it does the actual moving, smoothly, and respecting those world bounds we set. That's the difference between fighting the engine and letting it work for you. Save, refresh the browser, and your player glides around with the arrow keys. A player that moves is fun for about 10 seconds. Let's give it a point. First, the coins. Back in Create, we make a physics group, this.physics.add.group. A group is just a bag of similar objects that Phasor can manage together. Then a small loop. 8 times, we pick a random x and a random y with phasor.math.between, and call coins.create at that spot with the coin image. 8 coins, scattered in random places, every single time you play. Now the magic line, this.physics.add.overlap. We pass the player, the coins, and a function to call when they touch, collect coin. Overlap watches those two things every frame, and the instant the player's body touches a coin, it fires our function. No distance math, no checking by hand. And collect coin is tiny. It receives the coin that was touched, destroys it so it disappears, adds 10 to the score, and pushes the new number into the score text with set text. Touch a coin, it vanishes, the score jumps by 10. That right there is a real, playable game. And the group is the reason this scales. Whether you have 8 coins or 800, that one overlap line handles all of them. Add enemies later. Another group, another overlap. This is the pattern you'll reuse in every Phasor game you make. Let's talk about the engine doing the heavy lifting, arcade physics. You've already used 3 of its gifts. World bounds kept the player on screen. Velocity moved it smoothly. And overlap detected the coins. You never wrote collision math once. Here's the 4th, and the one that unlocks a whole other genre, gravity. Remember that 0 in the config? Change the y to 300, and everything with a body starts falling. Suddenly you have the makings of a platformer or a runner. But if things fall, they need something to land on. So we add a static group, a ground that never moves, and place a floor sprite along the bottom. Static means gravity ignores it, it just sits there. Then one line connects them, this.physics.add.collider, the player and the ground. A collider is the solid version of overlap. Overlap notices and passes through, a collider actually stops things. Now the player lands on the floor instead of falling through the world. Overlap for pickups, collider for solid walls and floors, that one distinction covers most 2D games you'll ever make. Now the part that makes Phaser special, shipping it. Your game is a web page, so putting it online is genuinely easy. You built this with a normal setup, Phaser installed from npm, TypeScript, and a bundler like Vite. When you're happy, you run one build command. That bundles your code and images into a small folder of plain, static files. Usually under a megabyte total. That folder is just HTML, JavaScript, and your images. Drop it on any static host, Netlify, GitHub Pages, itch.io, your own server, and your game is live at a URL. No app store. No install. No launcher. And that's the superpower. You send a friend a link, they click it, and they're playing your game 5 seconds later, on a phone or a laptop, no download. Try getting a native game into someone's hands that fast. This is also why web portals like Pokey and Crazy Games run on games built exactly like this. A small, instant-loading web game is what they want. So the same skill that builds your first coin collector is the skill that puts a game on a portal with real players. And that is your first Phaser game, built from an empty project. You now know the config, the scene lifecycle, sprites, velocity-based movement, groups, overlap, colliders, and how to ship it, the real Phaser toolkit. Here's your next move. Do not stop while it's fresh. If you want 10 complete games to pull apart and reskin, the Phaser Game Dev Bundle is $19, full TypeScript source, link below. And if you're still weighing engines, watch my Phaser vs Godot breakdown next, it's already up, and it tells you exactly when the browser is the right call. Subscribe for more build-along tutorials. Now go make something and send someone the link. See you in the next one.